Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. I say this at the beginning of every video. My name's Dave and I suffer with OCD. So, once again, been a while since I made a video. Very sorry for the lack of videos within the last 2 months. As you can see, it's Christmas, so I first off want to start the video by saying, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to whatever you celebrate, and I hope you had a good one. It's currently a few days after Christmas when I'm making this video. The reason I'm making this video today is because I want to talk about how your environment can affect your OCD. As someone who has recently moved into my first house with my girlfriend, and we've been here now, I'd say nearly 3 months, I'd like to talk to you guys about how an environment can affect your OCD. Because I had no idea that a fresh environment could give my OCD a day off. I did a little bit. The only time I felt similar to this is when I went on holiday with my girlfriend earlier this year when we went to Greece, and it was a whole new country, a whole new place, so there was no routines already made, so the only ones I was dealing with were the ones that I have to do mentally, but physical ones there was none around me. That was very similar to when I first moved into this house. Unfortunately, I have made a few since then, but we'll get into that. There's only a few, there's far less than there is at my childhood home and my place of work and places like my girlfriend's parents where, I am frequently. This video isn't me trying to tell you that the magic answer is to just move house, because I know that that's not possible for everybody, and it also might not help everybody. I did a little bit of research into this myself when I was thinking about making this video, and I found out that although a new environment can help your OCD, it could also make it worse. Because for a lot of people, a new space isn't always a helpful thing. For example, you could have a creaky floorboard that you could step on, and that could subconsciously then become a trigger, or new smells, new sights, a whole new feeling to a place because everywhere feels different. These can all be things that can trigger your OCD. Luckily for me, being in a new space meant that my usual routines that I would do weren't accessible to do anymore because everything was in a different place. And that's what really helped me. And that's what made me think about how your environment could be affecting your OCD. For example, if I had a routine at home, which involved me to look in a certain direction at a certain thing, and then think a certain thing at the same time before doing another thing, this all sounds very complicated. If you have OCD, you probably understand exactly what I'm on about. If you don't, I'm very sorry, I don't really know how to put that into better words. And it's made me think about the fact of why didn't I just move the trigger? And I'm not sure what my answer would be for that, why I didn't. Moving into a new place has made me think about the fact of I probably should have moved the triggers in the first place. But it doesn't always work like that, because you do start to think about the fact, well, if I move that, then I can't do it. If I can't do it, then whatever your brain thinks, it's different for everybody. Me being in a new environment has definitely helped my OCD because it's put me in a brand new space where I hadn't been before and I hadn't had the chance to make physical routines. Like I say, I've made a few since, but there isn't many, and they're definitely ones I can deal with, and they're not ones that add too much time onto my day. I'd say I probably go to bed 5 to 10 minutes later than I usually would have if I didn't have them, and I've nearly been late to work a few times, but I've only been late once, and that wasn't my fault, that was the weather. My car doors were frozen one day and I physically couldn't get into them. Making this video about how my environment could affect my OCD, it made me think about how I could help my OCD with my environment as well. For example, I find that keeping a clean and tidy space really does help my OCD. Oh, I suddenly feel so much better mentally. I find if a space is too messy and busy, then it can hinder my OCD in a massive way. Oh, fuck. And it makes me do them a lot more. I don't know if that's because it brings on more anxiety, and then that is the catalyst for more OCD and therefore more routines, but that's just what happens to me. So I've been trying to keep a nice, clean and tidy space. It's not going to clean itself, I guess. As much as I can, and keep things organised and in a way that could really help my OCD rather than hinder it. This isn't always possible when moving into a new place, as you would probably know if you have as well. Because there is a lot of boxes and there is a lot of mess. I think I made a good dent there. I need to get out of this room. At one point, our spare room was so full that you couldn't even open the door to get in, let alone get in there to organise anything. That's all sorted. Oh, for fuck's sake. The thing about environment has been the fact of it's created a whole new space, when that can have safety concerns as well. For example, before I go to bed, I make sure that all of our plugs are off, I make sure all of our doors are locked. And one of my routines has now become that I will check the front door before I go to sleep and the back door, and even if it's locked, even if I've checked it 5, 6 times, I will get into bed and I will think, did I lock that door? I know I locked that door. I checked 6 times. I know that door is locked, but I will get up and I will check. Moving with OCD isn't all about just packing boxes. It's also about packing all your routines and triggers and trying to throw them away. Now, this doesn't always work, but I did find that being in a new space has been a healthy way for me to try and reset. And that could work for a lot of people as well, but it could also not. It really depends on the person that you are. Like I say, everyone's OCD is different. And for me, yes, it was a nice reset, and unfortunately I have picked up a few since then, but I have noticed because of this how much an environment can affect your OCD. If you can relate to any of this, please feel free to leave me a comment. They're always appreciated. I love reading your comments and I love replying. I like hearing about people's stories that they, from their own OCD. Never learned too much about a topic, and this is a topic that I still had a lot to learn about, even though it's something I've dealt with for a very long time. My idea now for my environment is setting myself up for success when it comes to OCD. It's keeping a clean, tidy and organised space, and if I do find myself having a trigger which is movable, I will move it. And for me, that has really worked. Like I say, that may not work for everybody, but it has worked for me. This isn't my way of saying that the only way that you're going to be able to ever deal with your OCD is to complete reset and to change where you're living and to move, but maybe instead try and move the things that cause the triggers. When you move the triggers, it can feel like a scary thing, but then when you realise that it isn't, and that it's okay to move them, and as long as you don't start doing them wherever they are then instead, you may help yourself and you may clear some of those routines up for yourself, which is the majority of what we're trying to do here. So the space I'm living in currently is quite clean, quite organised, to an extent. To an extent, as much as it can be. I've only been here for 3 months. There's still things that need doing, but it's coming along really well. I'll show you guys a pan round of the living room where I'm currently filming, and so you can see what we're working with at the minute. Some of it has definitely been a struggle with trying to keep the environment set up for my OCD. For example, the spare room, which is actually supposed to be the games room / office space, which hasn't happened yet because we're still waiting for some desks, but you know, we'll get there. Everything comes with time. It's not a quick process. Actually now, the birds room, Sullivan lives in there at the minute, and so does half of our belongings, so that's great. So I'll finish off this part of the video here by saying I'll give you guys some tips on how your environment can help your OCD rather than hinder it. Tip number 1 for me would be always to try and keep your space as clean and tidy as possible, and set yourself up for success with your OCD rather than setting yourself up for failure. For example, keep triggers out of the way, move things that are causing triggers, but ultimately keeping it organised and clean. A tidy space is a tidy mind, and that is just something that I've learned to live by, and it's something that really does work for me. A second tip would be to be kind to yourself. Because it may sound redundant and it may sound cliche, but Christmas is a very stressful time. This time of year is stressful for a lot of people, and it can be hard. So if you do find yourself doing routines, don't beat yourself up about them. I wouldn't say just completely brush it off and deal with it next year at this point, but I would say be kind to yourself, because the more stress that I'm under, the more of my OCD routines seem to pop out. And it can be a rather stressful time. So if it's worse at the minute for you, then just remember that it might not even be to do with you. It could just be the time of year that it is and the stress that you are under. And my third tip would be, as we're approaching the end of the year now and we're about to go into the new year, would be set yourself a goal. Set yourself a goal of how you want your OCD to be at the end of next year. Manifest. Manifesting is a massive thing to me, as well as using things like a vision board and thinking of it visually. Think of success. Think of where you want to be with your OCD by the end of next year, and keep that in your head and think about it. Not as a routine. Don't make it a routine. Please try not to make it a routine. Think about it in your head. Write it down, whatever you need to do, and then subconsciously you will work towards that. It's something that I've found that helps me a lot. Journaling helped me a lot. And where I am now with my OCD compared to where I am last year is a massive difference. And a lot of it is because of where I am now in terms of being in a completely new space, also being older, learning more about it. So that is the main things that I would say for you to do. Is number 1 is to get more educated on it, keep a clean and tidy space, be kind to yourself, and set yourself goals. because when you set yourself goals, you do want to stick to them. And when you're thinking about them and you're manifesting something, you are subconsciously working towards it. Yeah, I think I've rambled enough now for this video. I will try and get back onto a upload schedule at some point. For now, I will upload when I actually have a decent topic to talk about, because that is what I want. I want to make informative videos, fun videos, and, you know, continue to build this community that we're building at the minute. And I'm very thankful for all of you that watch these videos and that leave comments and that subscribe and give me feedback on the videos, because it really does help and it really does keep me motivated as well. Like I'd say for a couple of weeks now, I've just been sitting here thinking about the fact of, like, I need to make a video. I want to make a video, but trying to find the right topic, and especially trying to find the time during this time of year, is quite difficult. I'm glad to be making this video, and I'm glad to be trying to spread more awareness, and I'm glad to be talking about a topic that for me has been on my mind now for quite a while. With that, I'll see you guys next one.